Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
Welcome back to the show. We are so excited to have our friend here joining us today. Again, Tracy Makarenko, and we're going to be shining our light today. Fate and Destiny Masterclass. We're going to talk obviously about what she has to offer, which is coming up very shortly in just a few weeks. It's an amazing 10-week workshop and so much more. But first and foremost, let's have you introduce yourself to our listeners who may not know you yet. Hi.
Hi, Jill. Thanks. So my name is Tracy Makarenko, and I live on the west coast of Canada on Vancouver Island. I've been here about 4 years. I was in Calgary for about 14 years. Before that, I lived in northern Canada in Yellowknife. Before that, I was in Brazil for a couple of years. I was in San Francisco for about a year and a half, back in the good Lord, I don't even know how far back I'm going now, but a while. Anyways,
Oh,
I've
wow.
moved around an awful lot. So I've learned an awful lot, um, just from being in different environments. I'm sure you probably are familiar with that because you're in different environments every day.
Yeah, it's true. You're right. I believe that. And traveling and living abroad like you have, that's even better. I just visit places. But it gives you a true understanding, a wiseness that some people don't have if they're not so well traveled or well diversified in a sense. Well, this is exciting. I know you also have been married for 32 years, have two daughters and a son-in-law and a grandcat. Is that true?
Yeah, yeah. Always have my grandcat in there.
I love it. I
Got
love
to
it.
FaceTime with him this morning. He was all purring, so.
Oh, and you are an intuitive healer, holistic life coach. You teach Usui and Karuna Reiki. You've written two books. There's a lot to you. So, would you mind just telling us a little bit more before we get started for today's show?
Yeah, sure. So I offer intuitive healings, virtual or in my office. Everything I can do virtually or in my office. So I do that. Same with even doing the Reiki certifications. You can do it long distance or you can do it in person. Um, I am always trying to think of new workshops, but this one that I have coming up in March, the Fate and Destiny Masters class, I've actually been running it for probably well over 10 years, I would think, or close to it anyways. It's a great workshop, and I really do want to talk about that today specifically. And a lot of things came from that workshop, like my new moon women's circle that happens every month. I have one coming up February. Yeah, we're not in February yet, right? We're still January. February 6th.
26. I'm trying to think. Yes, yes.
Oh my God, the days just slip by. Portions of that workshop are also in my new moon women's circle too that I offer monthly. So
Wow. Oh my God. And let's also don't forget the show. You host New Moon Women's Circle. Could you tell us
yeah.
about that?
Yeah, so that's the one that I do once a month, and I
Oh,
do it
okay.
virtually or I do it live, and we the moon has energy. I'm not sure if you sometimes look up at the sky and you're going, oh, that's why I feel like that, because the full moon is out or whatever's going on. Um, so I find when I do these workshops or this session with people, we always set an intention at the end. I usually take them through a guided visualization. I'm also a shaman, so I love doing the guided visualizations that really help people shift and change their perspective in their life and just expand their thought process differently. But anyways, the intention part, I love the intention part because it really helps us solidify what we want to accomplish in life. And my Fate and Destiny workshop is kind of like that. It's over
Okay.
10 weeks, but every week we kind of discuss one particular topic. I take people through a guided visualization, and then there's always homework. So my whole thing is about not just sharing information, but helping lift your vibration to another level, level up to another level, shine your light. There's so many different ways that
Ways of
we can,
saying it.
yeah,
Uh-huh.
for sure. I just love seeing the change that happens in women when they're doing their work.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Beautiful. Well, today I know we're going to discuss that Fate and Destiny Masterclass, and that's starting up the new session just on March 4th, right? So we want to point everyone out to your website, how they can reach you, and we're going to talk about the spiritual awakening. So what is the website?
It's tracymakarenko.com, TracyMakarenko.com. You can also get a hold of me from the website, or you can email me directly at tracymakarenko.com. Facebook, Instagram, I'm all there under the same name. So yeah, reach
Perfect.
out.
All right. So tell us a little bit about what's happening. It's starting March 4th. How many weeks is it? And give us some details.
Yeah, so it's 10 weeks. It's an hour and a half each day that we meet. We won't be meeting on Easter Monday. We actually celebrate that in Canada. I don't think you guys really do in the States. Um, but yeah, it's going to be great. And there's since there's 10 weeks, there's 10 different topics more or less that we'll be discussing. And really the main part of all of it has to do around boundaries and what our boundaries are like in different areas of our life. So um, we always talk about our boundaries with other people, which
Mm-hmm.
is super important. Um, um, but there are other boundaries. There's boundaries with ourselves. There's boundaries with the work we're willing to do. There's boundaries with our health and wellness. There's boundaries with our money. So we kind of discuss all these topics and try and get to a place where we can have a relationship that's healthy in all these different areas.
Yep. And you mentioned so many of us, you say women don't know how to shine our light, right?
Well, or we can shine our light even more. So in a relationship, like I'm a healer. I've had a lot of years of practicing this, but most women are healers in some shape, way, or form, and we always want to reach out and help people constantly. It's just something we do.
Mm-hmm.
Some of us are better at the boundaries than others. Um, so I grew up in the 80s. I started work in the late 80s, 90s, and back then we really had to act more like men. I even remember the big suit jackets with, the big shoulder pads and everything
Yeah.
and the whole bit, right?
I
And
remember that. Oh my God.
yeah, yeah. And even in the workforce, we had to kind of act definitely much more masculine, trying to get things done and being, hardcore about it. And then in 2012, there was this shift. And they talk about the Mayan calendar changing, but we really moved into more of the feminine goddess energies. And I really notice it. I notice it, of course, with women, but you notice it a lot more with men now than even 15 years ago. You wouldn't have found a man painting their nails. You wouldn't have found a man, dressing up with their daughters. They do. They're very much involved in their kids' life more than they've ever been. I feel that way anyways.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I see in general. But for us women, we kind of got confused because we weren't so much stepping into something as something was taken away from us. So a lot of the ways of working in the world and that masculine energy just did not manage to work anymore. And I had a lot of clients that showed up that ran their own business and they're like, we're just not making the money we used to. Like, we just can't seem to work the same way that we used to. And I think it had a lot to do with the fact that we just didn't have to be as forceful or as aggressive as we used to be. Um, Instead of tapping into, determination, we were able to become maybe more gentle and tap into that intuition. Did you notice a shift, Jill?
Well, I mean, I feel people say that everyone's intuitive, right? But you got to work on it. You got to think about it. And yeah, I feel like I have this I think after my mom died, maybe because I'm more aware of it and I want to be more intuitive to kind of connect in that sense. But I feel, yeah, no, I feel definitely connected and I feel that, especially since my mom died, that kind of like a shift with wanting to explore, wanting to know more. Does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah, for sure. And I think it kind of happened naturally for a lot of us. Um, so like 2012 and onwards, I
Okay.
feel the boundaries shifted a little bit and we didn't, I don't want to say we didn't, but it wasn't necessary for us to hold everybody up the same as we had in the past.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of relationships kind of came to an end. They weren't maybe supporting us the way they used to, or they were imbalanced. And when a relationship is imbalanced, you feel it in your body. It's you get angry or you get frustrated or you don't feel like there's a give and take on an equal basis. And that happened with our male relationships and our female relationships. And then, something typically has to happen. We have to make that change and have the conversation, is this still working for us or not? I don't know if you went through that, but I know I went through a whole shedding of relationships, which was really, really tough.
Wow. Well, it's also different with men and with women, I would say. And then there's the whole spiritual part when it comes to our purpose and why we're here as nurturers, as mothers, but also us as workers and changing the role of being a stay-home mom to a full-time worker. There's a lot that I think has changed for us, the female yes, for females in general over the years.
Yeah. And so trying to shine our light can be difficult because we're trying to figure out all this other stuff.
Mm-hmm.
You might have somebody who really needs you. Well, can you shine your light and have space over here to do this when you always need to be over here helping this person? A part of having healthy boundaries is being able to give back stuff to the people who need you all the time because they can't be their 100% person if you're hanging on to 20 or 30 or 50% of their stuff.
Yeah.
So, this is a really easy visual. If there's anyone listening and you're hanging on to someone's stuff, you can literally just close your eyes, feel like you're wrapping it up in whatever, a luggage or a bag, or maybe it's bigger. It's like, Santa's great big
Mm-hmm.
red thing, and just literally hand it back to them. And chances are they don't want it because who wants a bunch of junk that they got rid of? Nobody. And you're just gonna like drop it away and let it fall, and right away you'll feel like this burden starting to release
Mm-hmm.
off your shoulders and your mind. But then life opens up and you have more space to do other stuff. You have more space to think about, keeping your body healthy,
Mm-hmm.
or what your true purpose is and what you want to do with that. Maybe it gives you more time to go do the things you want to do. Maybe go to a yoga class or, I don't know what people are doing nowadays. Oh boy, can you see that release happening on me? Whew.
Mm-hmm. Well,
I
let me ask, we got to remind everyone how we can contact you. My goodness, we're already halfway through.
know.
Reminder, Tracy, what is your website? How can we find you?
Yeah, so it's tracymacrenko.com, TracyMacrenko.com, or Tracy at tracymacrenko.com.
And she's helping us women take our power back and giving us some advice here how to do so in the work she does. And also, we need to have these boundaries, as you've mentioned. Did you want to add any more to that conversation?
Well, I mean, I think we start waking up when we start taking back our power from other people, I'll say, because when we give something up, like taking care of other people, and I'm not saying we're not taking care of people. Don't get me wrong, but there's a certain line that you cross where you end up doing more for people than you need to. And that's usually in your body, you start feeling that. I mean, we want to start bringing in more supportive people into our life, people who are more aligned with us. You know, when all that starts happening, we wake up to our conditioning and
Mm-hmm.
realize maybe we're saying something, but we're behaving different than the way we're we're talking. So there's inconsistencies because we've been told to do something the same way for years and years and years, and now we're doing it a little bit different. Um, and that's really when you have kind of those aha moments. I remember I had a lot of experiences with waking up to my intuition and really paying attention. But remember this one time I drove into a gas station and I pulled up to the first pump. Usually I'd go to the second pump, you know, being polite and everything. But I pulled up to the first pump and I got out, started getting ready to pump my gas. And some car pulled in behind me. Instead of going around me, he's like, "Why wouldn't you pull into the first tank pump? Why would you pull into the second pump?" And I was like, I don't know. Anyways, I got in my car and I pulled into the first pump. And I gave away my power right there doing that to start with. And secondly, that first pump, as it turned out, was not working. So he pumped his car full of gas, and I didn't get to pump my with car with gas until after he was done.
I was going to say, did he even notice this that you were there waiting? Like,
Well, he looked at me, he's like, "Oh, sorry." And it's like, I was trusting my intuition. I gave away my power.
yep,
Like there were so many things that happened in that, and these are the things that happen to make us aware of where, you know, maybe we have patterns that are like that. You know, it's kind of
hmm,
like that whole, was it Snow White syndrome? You know that apple's poisonous, but you're too impolite to say
so
no
true.
to take a bite of it anyways.
Yep,
You know, so there's just some of these wake up calls we need to pay attention to, and it's about releasing that fear we have around disappointing people. You know, it's a super hard one to get over. Um, Telling your truth, you know, instead of just always saying the same thing or saying what people want to hear. You know, even when people say, "So, Jill, how are you today?" You know,
hmm.
what would your truth be? You know,
I'm
what do we usually
all
say?
right, good. Meanwhile, you could be falling apart inside. But yeah, we always quick to say, everything's fine. Everything's good. That fake smile, right?
"Oh, I'm so busy. I just don't have time for anything anymore." Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah.
Wow.
So, you know, don't ask me how I am because I will probably tell you, and you might be stuck there for like a good 10 minutes. So, um, it's just getting to that place where you start feeling more like yourself. And as you do that, you're taking back your power and you're starting to shine that light.
So
And
true.
people are starting to look at you and go,
Oh,
"Wow,
wow.
she's getting so much done and she has so much time." And then other people that you've stepped away from a little bit are like, "She's just become so selfish and self-centered. And I can't believe like she doesn't do anything for me anymore." And meanwhile, it's like, well, yeah, maybe you need to do something for yourself. It's not being selfish, it's taking care of self.
Hmm.
And we need to really shift that around. And I think a lot of people are getting that now.
Got it. Well, I hope so, right? Because it's, the world we live in, right? It's so weird how we're trained, conditioned, and then it's like, why? Why can't we, be our true self and feel, if not feel guilty about making the time to relax or to, yeah. And then it's hard to listen to people who are judging us. But I'm sure we have family and friends that do the same, right?
Absolutely.
Huh.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
we were kind of brought up kind of doing that too. Like, you know, who gets to sit down and just do nothing all day? And is sitting down doing nothing? Like sometimes your body needs to do nothing. Sometimes your brain needs to do nothing. And that's the bigger part. We don't sit and let our brain relax ever. We're
Mm-hmm.
on our iPads or television or phones, and our brains just get so overwhelmed, and then we can't think straight, figure out what it is we need to do next half the
Yeah.
time.
Well, also you mentioned the conditioning in a sense, and that kind of moves us over to us trying to figure out what's really going on in our head, right? And you talk about healing can take place. Could you want to share a little bit about moving on to that release in a sense? And it's okay to abandon our issues in a sense, right?
Yeah, I mean, we can make a change any time in our life, and
Mm-hmm.
but we have to give ourselves permission
Yep.
because there's a lot that goes on within ourselves in order to do that. And if we're hanging out with the same people, doing the same thing all the time, we're never going to see something in a different light of day. Um, what was it? It was the strangest thing. My daughter, she said she pulled the eggs out of the fridge to make herself breakfast one morning. And she always takes them out next to each other and back and forth. She usually has two eggs. And she took one out randomly from somewhere else in the carton. And she's like, it blew my mind, Mom. It's like all of a sudden I don't need to do the things exactly the same way anymore. I can like take an egg from the middle of the carton, which,
Mm,
she said transpired to something completely different in her entire life. And those are the moments we need to really pay attention to, is maybe shaking things up and doing it a little differently, and breaking out of those molds. This week there's been a few people that said, I'm not doing my dishes. Like, I'm just
mm-hmm.
not going to do them. Well, what's going to happen if you don't do your dishes?
Yeah.
Nothing. Nothing's gonna
Uh-huh.
happen. But in our mind, we make it
And
this
then it
big,
piles up, and
huge
there's more work for the
thing.
future. And then I get that way. I get that anxiety. I
I
do.
know. Or it's like, oh my God, I'm gonna become a slob because I don't do my dishes tonight. Well, chances are you're not gonna become a slob if you don't do your dishes tonight. You'll probably do them tomorrow morning when you feel more like it. And it
Mm-hmm.
works the other way. I'm very OCD, so I'm all about keeping things tidy and neat. But some people, they have to work at getting things tidy and neat. And there's something to be said about, changing our conditioning into something more mainstream, getting out of the mess metaphysically.
Yes. And I have clutter around, so I'm talking physically for myself, but yes.
Yeah. So,
Uh,
I mean, there's just so many different layers.
mm-hmm.
We talk about, I love talking about money. Not everyone does, but when we can get to a place where we're super healthy with our finances, chances are a lot of the rest of our life is also going to look pretty healthy. Um, because we're having money flow in and flow out, and some of it stays here and goes there for that. And that's what life is all about, is letting things kind of flow in and flow out, and keep things that work and don't keep the things that don't work. Does that make sense?
It does. It does. And it's worth an investment, right? To make ourselves better, to do this change. Did you want to talk a little bit about the your a show that's coming up and about the sessions? I know we just only have 3 minutes left in the show, so I
Yeah.
want to kind of
Oh,
jump ahead what's encompasses in this, and what, I know
yeah,
there's a workbook and
absolutely. Thank you, Jill. Yeah, so it's 10 weeks. It starts March 4th. It goes to May 13th. It's on a Monday. It starts at 10:30 till 12 Pacific time, 1:30 till 3 Eastern time. You get a workbook. We connect weekly. I only take 12 students, so that's it. That's the only 12 participants. Um, there's always homework involved. We do a guided visualization around whatever the topic of the week is. I do also offer one 30-minute one-on-one coaching session after we're done the 10 weeks. So just
mm-hmm.
helping you really, refine what you want to do. Um, I've been doing this work for a long time, so there's lots of good examples about how we can get to that place. There's always a lot of aha moments during this whole thing. Like I said, today we mostly talked about relationships, but relationships are connected to everything. Our health, our spirituality. I do One day we'll do soul retrieval, so we'll bring back soul pieces that we've discarded during our lifetime, because a lot of times we give away pieces of ourselves, and it's the only way to get them back is through that shamanic soul retrieval. We talk about career and purpose, and I take you on a really cool guided visualization through the different levels of frequency and vibration as you raise yourself up. So you get a really cool sense of what it feels like to be up here, even if you're living your life down here. And so it's nice to be able to attach to that. I know the first time I did it, it was like, oh, that's where I want to be. I want to be up here.
How do
That'd
I
be
get?
so
Uh-huh.
cool. Yeah, yeah. So yeah, it's just a lot of fun too. You really connect with the other people in the group, and it is on Zoom, so we'll be connecting virtually every week.
Perfect. And don't forget the New Moon Women's Circle that's coming up Tuesday, February 6th, right?
A week Tuesday, February 6th. And I won't see you for a few weeks because I'm off on vacation.
Yeah, where are you going? Anywhere
So
good to recharge?
well, we're going to Vegas for a weekend, so that won't be much of a recharge, but it'll be great to get out of this rain and do some walking. And
Exciting.
then, yeah, then we'll do a bit of a recharge. We're going to the island of Kauai for a little
Beautiful.
over a week, just to laze about for a bit, get out of
Nice. Well,
this rain.
enjoy. So look forward to
Yeah,
connect when we get back and enjoy your
absolutely.
class and wishing everything goes well. Will we be in touch while you have class? I don't know how.
I think I'm back on the 24th of February, so we'll have
Oh,
chance
okay.
to
Oh, I didn't know if
talk
it was like a
talk
few
a bit more
months.
before
Okay,
that.
perfect.
No,
Okay,
no,
we'll
no,
see.
just
We'll
a few
catch up, see
weeks,
how
just
it's
a few
going.
weeks.
And don't
Yeah,
forget to reach out. Tell us the website one more time.
it is tracymacarankle.com, or you can email me at tracy@tracymacarankle.com.
Perfect. And
T
spell
R A
Macarenko.
TRACYMAKARENKO.
Beautiful. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Jill.
All right. Have a great day. Enjoy the
You.
start of the workshops and enjoy your vacation.
Thank
And
you.
have a good weekend. Thank you
Yeah,
again.
you
Thanks for the
too.
positive energy. I feel it and I'm
Oh, good.
feeling good.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.